You are watching the CaseWORTH Overview video. This overview will familiarize you with the big picture on how to get the most out of CaseWORTH and explain the basics of how to enter case information. You may use the controls just below this video window to pause the video or back it up if you want to replay any section. After watching this video, you will understand the basics of what CaseWORTH can do for you. In addition to this overview, there are other videos and help resources in the Getting Started with CaseWORTH dialog available from the Help menu. There are also other videos available throughout CaseWORTH that provide more detail on each tab and screen. At any time you need help, just click the Video Help button in the lower right-hand corner of any tab or screen. A short video will be displayed that explains how to use the tab or screen you are currently working on. The totals for all damage and expense categories are always visible on the tab buttons, offering the big picture of the case at a glance. The colored buttons represent all the case damages and expenses. These buttons are where the paralegals will do most of their work. The tan buttons contain the claimant and case information. The white buttons are the analysis buttons and will primarily be used by the attorney. The white buttons are where all the information you enter into CaseWORTH comes together. The red arrow indicates which tab is currently open. Plus, each button shares the same color as the information on its tab. For example, the medical expense button and the medical expense information on the tab are both blue. The CaseWORTH tabs include grids for you to enter and view your case information. The grids all have a number of things in common. Each grid starts with a header row with column names just like a spreadsheet or report. To the left of each header row is an Add button. Click this Add button to add as many rows of information as you require. Each time you click Add, a new row appears where you can enter damage or expense information. Different tabs allow you to enter different information on each row. For example, you can enter a date, description, and amount here on the burial expense tab, while completely different information is entered on the travel expense tab. Use the mouse to click on any row and enter or edit text. The row you are currently working on is indicated by a black background with white text. In addition to using the mouse, you may use the Tab key to move to the next field and continue down to the next rows. Use Shift Tab to move to the previous field and continue up to previous rows. You may also use the Enter key to move to the next editable row at any time. As you enter dates, be sure to use a slash between months, days, and years before you tab to the next field. Each grid includes a light gray area at the top where all the important totals for that tab are displayed. As we add another burial expense, you will see the total is automatically calculated and displayed for you. Here, the medical expense tab pulls all the totals for amounts billed, paid, and remaining due up to the light gray area on top. The most important total, in this case the amount billed, is displayed on the tab button. The grids on some tabs can hold more than one layer of information. For example, there may be more than one law firm working a case, each with their own firm expenses. To add a new firm, simply click the Add button on the Firm header row. Then, to add expenses for each firm, click the Add button on the Expense header row. Here, we add an expense for the Smart, Quick, and Good law firm. And here we can add a couple of expenses for the Wright law firm. You can click the plus and minus icons to expand and collapse detail for each section, or use the Expand All and Collapse All buttons to show or hide all the detail at once. Use the Delete icon to delete any row of information. Be aware you are not allowed to delete a row of information if that row owns additional information below it. For example, you cannot delete a law firm if the law firm has any existing expense entries. If you need to delete a law firm, you must first delete all the expenses that belong to that law firm. The Add View column allows you to attach scanned documents to any item in CaseWORTH that might benefit from supporting paper documentation. We recommend you scan your documents to PDF or TIFF images and save them in a subfolder of the client's case folder. We also recommend you save your CaseWORTH file in this same folder. Each CaseWORTH tab includes a print button that allows you to print the information from that tab with the level of detail you choose. Different tabs offer different print options depending on what you might want to show for a particular category. All CaseWORTH reports may be printed to paper or to PDF to be emailed. Watch the CaseWORTH Reports video help from the Getting Started with CaseWORTH window for more detail on all the CaseWORTH reports. The Claimant Info tab holds contact, alternate contact, employer, and personal information about the claimant. There is also a memo field where you can describe any details you want to remember about the claimant. The Case Info tab holds details about the parties involved in the case name, file number, court details, information on the incident, and statute of limitations. There are also areas to save up to 4 insurance company contacts and 4 opposing counsels. The Case Info tab also includes a memo field where you can describe any details you want to remember about the case. We can customize the fields on these 2 tabs to add any you need in your firm. For more information, just contact support@caseworth.com. If you aren't already using some practice management software to run your office, you can use the fields on these 2 tabs as an easily accessible place to store important case information. If you are already using some practice management software, and you should be by the way, you are probably asking yourself, I wonder if CaseWORTH can pull this information in from my other program. For now the answer is no, but that capability will be coming in a future version. For the meantime, enter only the information in these CaseWORTH tabs that will benefit you. If the attorney takes a CaseWORTH file to a deposition or negotiation, it may be helpful to have these details on these tabs. Use your practice management software and CaseWORTH for the value they each bring. Your practice management software should be a convenient place to pull together all the case details, events, documents, and to-dos. One of these documents should be your CaseWORTH file. That way, when you want to see the docket on a case, you look to your practice management software. When you want to see the damages or most recent negotiation details, you simply open the CaseWORTH file from inside your practice management software. Contact support@caseworth.com for additional information on how to connect your CaseWORTH file to your practice management software. The Medical Expenses tab is the most complex and is where the paralegals will spend most of their time. While it is the most complex, it also offers some of the greatest benefits for your investment in time. Remember, CaseWORTH was designed to allow you to enter lots of detail if your case requires it, or very little detail if you don't need it. You decide what level of detail you need for each specific case. Each medical provider will have 1 or more statements or medical bills. Each of these medical bills can show payments made by various subrogation sources. The total billed for each medical provider is carried up to the medical provider's row. Then the grand total billed by all medical providers is carried up to the light gray area and to the blue medical expenses button. The total of payments and adjustments, as well as the total due, are also carried up to each medical provider with a grand total in the light gray area. Some of the subro payments will be actual payments to the medical provider, and some of them may be marked as adjustments the subro source makes to the medical provider's bill. These adjustments impact the medical provider's amount due, but unlike the actual payments, the subrogation source will never recover these adjustment amounts since the amount was never actually paid to the medical provider. Finally, you can optionally add service date detail to any statement for any medical provider. Adding service date rows allow you to specify dates of service, type of service like treatment, diagnostic, or pharmaceutical, a description of the service performed, and the amount charged for the specific service. While it takes extra time, there are 3 benefits to entering service dates in a case. First, the medical expenses will be categorized on the Damage Summary tab, so the attorney will be able to see the treatment expense totals versus the diagnostic and pharmaceutical expenses. Second, all service dates you enter will be included on the medical treatment timeline report. If your case would benefit from a medical timeline, then it's worth entering these details so you can get the automatic report. Third, if you enter the round-trip miles the client travels to visit a specific medical provider, CaseWORTH will automatically generate a travel expense entry every time you enter a service date for that provider. You don't have to enter service dates for every case. Remember, CaseWORTH is designed to allow the user to enter as little detail as they want in a case or as much detail as a complex case requires. If it helps your legal position to have these details in a specific case, then it's worth taking the time to enter them. You also don't have to enter every service date for every medical provider. Only enter what helps you prove your claim. CaseWORTH will still do the math for you. Remember, this video is only an overview. To see a more detailed discussion of the Medical Expenses tab, or any other tab for that matter, click the Video Help button and watch a short video that covers the specifics. The Subro Payments tab shows what payments and adjustments were made by each subrogation source. The adjustments are called out separately in the bottom grid with its own total. You do not enter payments or adjustments on the Subro Payments tab. Those are entered on the Medical Expense tab. You only come here to see the payment totals and, if you wish, the detailed breakdown. The Past Earnings tab contains one or more income sources for the claimant. These are typically a job, but may be more involved, like farm income or rental property that can no longer be managed. In this example, the client works for Common Bank and Trust and has a part-time job at Walmart. You can add periods of lost income under each income source. The amounts for these periods may be a lump sum, like a bonus or contract job, or a periodic rate, like an hourly or weekly wage, and so on. Add as many periods as required for each income source. CaseWORTH will total them to the income source row and bring the grand total to the top and to the Past Earning button. Entry of future earnings is very similar to the past earnings. There are still income sources, but they are sources of income the claimant would have had in the future were it not for their accident. Each income source may also have one or more periods of lost income, but again, these periods are in the future. The future periods may be either a lump sum or a yearly amount. CaseWORTH is able to include projected increases or decreases in each income period over time. This allows you to enter cost of living increases, raises, and bonuses as percentages or flat dollar amounts. In addition, you can specify how frequently these changes occur. For example, you can specify that the employee receives a 2% cost of living increase every 3 years and use the employer's corporate employee handbook as backup documentation. CaseWORTH uses a present value discount interest rate that you enter to project the future of each income source year by year in both actual dollars and what those dollars are worth today. You are free to adjust the interest rate or any of the periods as often as you like. CaseWORTH instantly recalculates the claimant's future for you. Future medical expenses work exactly the same way as future earnings. The only difference is instead of income sources, you have experts or medical providers. Each expert may testify to a lump sum or periodic future medical expense that the claimant can expect. Like every other item in CaseWORTH, you may choose to attach supporting documentation to back up your claim. Travel expenses may be entered manually on this tab or generated automatically as you enter service dates on the Medical Expenses tab. For more information, see the Use CaseWORTH to automatically track mileage expenses video from Getting Started with CaseWORTH in the Help menu. Each travel expense will include a mileage entry and may optionally include additional airfare, lodging, meal, and miscellaneous expenses. Each trip can be attached to one or more service dates under one or more medical providers. You can also scan and attach travel receipts if you wish. Entry of burial expenses couldn't be simpler. If there are burial expenses in the case, simply enter the date, description, and amount of each expense. You may also scan and attach any documentation you require. Other expenses are a catch-all for any other miscellaneous expenses that don't fit elsewhere. A good example would be property damage. Entry of other expenses works exactly like the burial expenses. You can enter firm expenses for your firm and any co-counsel firms that may be working the case with you. The expense entries simply include date, description, payee, and the optional paid and recoverable checkboxes. As always, you can scan and attach any documentation you wish to each row. The Law Firm Expenses by Payee button shows you the expenses broken down by how much was paid to each payee. For example, we paid Federal Express $110 in the Roger Smith case. A report can be printed from either of these views. People always ask if we can import check entries from their billing system. We expect to integrate billing links into future versions of CaseWORTH, but for now the answer is unfortunately no. We do have a good workaround though. Print a report of the expenses to date on your case. Make one line item entry in CaseWORTH that represents the total of all the expenses from the report. As time passes and more expenses come up, simply print a new report and make a new entry. That way the total expenses automatically work into the settlement calculator and onto the settlement statement. You can even scan the report from your billing system and attach it to the entry so the details are always available from CaseWORTH. That said, the advantage of entering the individual expenses in CaseWORTH is that they print detail on the settlement statement for the claimant to see. You also have the option to simply include the paper report from your billing system as an attachment to the CaseWORTH settlement statement. The white Damage Summary tab pulls all the color-coded totals from the other tabs into one view. The light gray area above the grid shows the grand total of all damages in the case. You can see just the totals of each category, or you can expand any or all categories to see a summary of the details. The math worksheet allows you to build your own views of the totals in CaseWORTH. You can select from the templates we have provided, or create your own templates to show the numbers exactly the way you want to see them. Since the print button will print any template you create, you can use this tab to create your own custom reports for your CaseWORTH information. The Expenses and Liens Due tab shows a list of all medical providers and subrogation sources that must be paid to settle the client's accounts once a settlement has been reached. This tab allows the law firm to negotiate with each medical provider and subrogation source on their final amount due. These negotiations are instantly reflected in the settlement calculator on the claimant's net. The claimant may also request that a specific medical provider or subrogation source not be paid at all. If you select the Do Not Pay option, a note will be automatically added to the settlement statement for the claimant to initial and accept the liability. Each subrogation source can be assigned a cost of collection percentage. The attorney holds this percentage out of the recovery paid to the subrogation source after a settlement is reached. The cost of collection, or recovery fee, is usually given to the client in the settlement, but the attorney is free to assign it as he or she sees fit. The settlement calculator is the heart of CaseWORTH. The rest of the white button tabs allow the attorney to see the big picture on the damages and expenses. The settlement calculator pulls all those numbers together and lets the attorney work with them in an effort to reach the claimant's desired in-my-pocket amount. The claimant authorized net allows the attorney to enter a number, however unrealistic, the claimant would like to net from the case. CaseWORTH instantly shows the required settlement necessary to make the claimant happy and pay the firm's fee, expenses, as well as all outstanding medical bills and subrogation. This is a great reality check tool for the attorney to share with the client. The opposing negotiator contact info is always visible on the screen. The history of demands and offers, along with how close you are to a settlement, are all displayed at the top of the tab. You can select any offer or demand, and the actual settlement calculator will show the firm and claimant net based on the current damages and expenses. The actual settlement calculator pulls all the details together and breaks down the disbursement. These totals instantly update as any changes are made elsewhere in CaseWORTH. The What If calculator allows the attorney to explore different settlement scenarios and their impact on the firm and the claimant net. The details of one or more of these scenarios can be saved for later review along with any supporting comments. The settlement statement report is very popular with paralegals. Basically, CaseWORTH uses all the details agreed on in the settlement, along with medical provider and subrogation source negotiations, and the attorney fee and expenses, to automatically produce a settlement statement report ready for the claimant and the attorney to sign. The settlement statement starts with your firm and attorney information. The settlement amount appears at the top, then the attorney fee and expenses are removed, showing a subtotal for each step, and the amount remaining in the settlement. The medical expenses that must be paid are listed along with a notation indicating where the attorney was able to negotiate with any medical provider for a reduced amount. The medical expenses section also includes a note for the client to initial, accepting responsibility for any do not pay medical providers. The medicals are subtotaled and are followed by a listing of any recovery of subrogation that was paid out. The report ends with the claimant's net settlement amount, some boilerplate text assigning responsibility for any unreported bills to the client, and a place for the client and the attorney to sign. When you want to create a new case file, you are free to simply click File, New, Empty Case, and start filling out the grids. The Video Help button is always there on every tab to help you if you get stuck. Another option is to use one of the two CaseWORTH wizards to create a new case file. A wizard asks a series of questions and builds the case file for you. Once you have created a case file with the wizard, you can examine the information, explore the settlement calculator, and run all the same reports. The case evaluation wizard asks some very broad, round number questions and allows an attorney to create a case file in 1 or 2 minutes. The file doesn't include much detail, but in seconds the attorney can see the damage summary and settlement calculator. This allows the attorney to evaluate a case and do a reality check for the client. See how quickly I can go from nothing to a workable set of numbers that might be used to educate and possibly impress a prospective client. Of course, the attorney could also use these numbers to justify the decision to take or pass on the case. Note, the case files created with the Case Evaluation Wizard are not designed to be fleshed out to a full case. Use the New Case Wizard to create a full case file with more detail. The New Case Wizard asks a series of more detailed questions to quickly build a working case file. You are still free to decide how much detail to include. Each step of the wizard can be answered with broad questions and little or no detail. You can, of course, flesh out as much detail as you wish where you feel it is warranted. A file created with the New Case Wizard is exactly like the one you would create manually starting with an empty case file. You can use the grids to continue to add or change information as the case progresses. Both wizards include video help buttons that will lead you through each step of creating a new case. If you prefer to read the instructions, the CaseWORTH Quick Start Guide, available in PDF or online formats on the Getting Started with CaseWORTH window, We'll also walk you through creating a new case. Remember to watch the more detailed videos available anywhere in CaseWORTH by clicking the Video Help button. Unlike this overview, most of the videos are less than 10 minutes long and will help you quickly get up to speed. Please visit our website at www.caseworth.com or contact us for any sales or support assistance you might need. We'll be happy to help you any way we can.